Today, you are going to witness me in a light that you are probably not too familiar with observing me. Many of you know who I am. This is Reginald, brother teacher. I've been on YouTube for half a dozen years at least as a promoter and as a content creator. And I've shared information with you and viewpoints on virtually every common subject that most people deal with from day to day. This is no different. I've touched on this subject before, but I'm feeling a certain way right now. Let me begin. Let me preface this video by saying this. I have no cue cards, no music in the background, no picturesque background, and so forth. No tapestry, no bells and whistles. It's just me, a human being, talking to other human beings. Let me say this to everyone that's watching me right now, regardless of your race, color, or creed, your ethnic background, your country, or nationality. Whites, blacks, Latinos, Germans, Asians. I love each and every one of you. Every one of you that have been following me all of the years that I have been here, even those that may be new to this particular channel. I had to get that out of the way. I know that there are people out there who are not well-wishers, who are what some would term as trolls, trying to sow seeds of discord. But most of you, the vast majority of you that is, that have watched me over a period of time, you know my person and you know what I represent. If my intentions were ever ill, you would have already gleaned that. I'm just your fellow man that happens to be a black man. Now, since I got it out of the way, how much I care about each and every one of you sincerely, I'm sure you wouldn't mind if I told those people that look like me how much I love you. I want to say to you today, hang in there. Stay strong. We are strong. And we are black. I don't have a history book sitting before me. I don't need it. Just want to touch on some subjects. Give you some ideas, maybe, within the body of this video. Nothing spectacular, but relevant and important just the same. We are strong, and we are black. As we all know that this is election year, in less than 10 days, we will have another president, maybe even the same president, for another term of 4 years. We also know that there is contention about the election as to the voting being rigged and things of this sort. We also know that we are facing what has been termed as an international pandemic called COVID-19. And we also know that not many months ago, protest, not only in America but across the world, was sparked by the murder, the killing of a black man, unarmed, by the name of George Floyd. Now, it took that incident for the world to wake up as to the atrocities that had been carried out against black people, not only in America, but primarily in America because we are American and that we are the ones who have experienced it, who have lived it for hundreds of years. But it's across the world as well. Anywhere that you see melanated people, we have been oppressed. We have been disenfranchised. We have been abused. We have been murdered. We have been robbed. Our women have been raped. Our wives, our daughters, and even men raped and sodomized. Why? Because we wanted fair treatment. Let me remind you, this country that we love so dear, the same country whose flag we fly at many public institutions, political arenas, courtrooms, and ball stadiums. Same flag that we fly during parades, during military ceremonies and events, during graduations, elementary school, high school, college. That same flag that represents freedom has never served us as far as what it represents. It is so interesting how NFL player Colin Kaepernick took a knee to make a statement. Even he said this. He said that when the police, the racist police, not all police, but the racist police, the white supremacist mindset and mentality, when they make a decision to stop murdering innocent, unarmed black men and women and teenagers in the streets, he'll stand up for the flag. That was what that action signified. That and only that. Those of us who have common sense understood that. But those who wanted to change the narrative understood it as well. But because they don't see America as being our country, blacks that is, as well, they have to paint a different picture to try and portray us as undesirable. Let me remind you, black people built America. You know we did. You know our ancestors did. America was built off the backs of some Africans that were enslaved. America was built by indigenous black people that were already here in America as well. No wages, no pay, not fair or equal treatment, but at the hand of whips, sticks, chains, and guns. Our ancestors built this country for everyone to enjoy but us. It's a shame. It is a shame that the very people who are responsible for all of the freedoms that we all enjoy, they are the disenfranchised. They are the most abused. They are mistreated. We are mistreated. We are not allowed equal opportunity. There's always a scheme. There's always undermining. There's always manipulation. There's always denial, detracting, and diverting from the truth, the sins of those that are in power. It is impossible for black people to be racist. I've heard people say in time past, and this is whites for the most part, he's a racist. If you listen to some people that are black, such as Dr. Claude Anderson, author of one of his books, Powernomics, then you will know. Let me throw this book in here as well. Black Labor, White Wealth. Purchase that book, those books. If you listen to what Dr. Claude Anderson has said in time past, we that are blacks, since we have been in the workforce, we own less than 1% of the wealth, not only in America but in the world. Less than 1%. Who owns the rest? Now, I did say it's impossible for us to be racist. That's the reason. We don't own vast real estate. We don't own vast industries. We don't control the resources in America. We have no stock, no major stock in any of it. Transportation, we don't own the monopoly. Textiles, we don't own the monopoly. Energy, we don't own the monopoly. Air transport, transportation period, from rail, air, sea, and land, we don't own the monopoly. We don't have any of that. In terms of liquidity, money, what we call money, we have a few millionaires, a few billionaires, but it's minuscule by comparison and or contrast to our white counterparts. We have been denied education. We have been denied equal opportunity that whites have. Whites have always been in the front of the line, and we have always been at the tail. We have died in the streets, in the prison institutions, in the medical institutions, in the nursing homes, through the food and the pharmaceutical companies manufacturing poison methodically, targeting our poor neighborhoods, giving the worst of everything, giving the trash that no one else wanted. given less health care than those privileged whites. Now, there are some of you that might say, well, there are Oprah Winfrey's, Tyler Perry's, Russell Simmons, and another handful of billionaires on the planet that are black. Jay-Z and Beyonce, even. What does that matter to us on a larger scale? What does that matter to the more than 99% of us that are black out of that equation? That we have celebrities that are black, football, basketball players, rappers, singers, dancers, various other comedians and entertainers. Have you ever done the math and compared the amount of black people who are still in poverty in this country, who are still dramatically affected, them and their families, by poverty and unemployment? Those blacks that are living in the streets, those blacks that are incarcerated for petty crimes, those blacks who go to apply for jobs and can't get jobs, can't vote, can't do many of the common things that's afforded to the rest of the society that's not black, all because they have a police and or prison record. That's done by design, if you didn't know that. How do you judge a man, lock him up in jail for committing a crime, and place that crime over his head for the rest of his living days until the day he dies? When will you get your foot off the necks of blacks? And here's an insertion. We are strong. We are black. You see, we have endured more than any other nationality that exists on this planet. Should I say that again? We have endured more than any other nationality on this planet. We that are black. Some say they're African Americans. Some say Hebrew Israelites. Some say Moors, Rastas, whatever. But one thing that we all share in common is our melanated skin. We know who we are as it relates to that. And we know that we have a history, an origin that has been denied us intentionally, deliberately. We haven't done, our ancestors have never done any wrong to humanity. But a certain segment of humanity has done wrong to us. And we are owed fairness. We are owed, I hate to use this term, but I'm going to use it because that seems to be the term of the day. Reparations. There are individuals out there that say we don't deserve reparations. We need to just stop being lazy and get up and work and get a job. Stop stealing, stop killing, stop fighting, and so forth. Let me ask you a question. Who controls the media? That's the written media. That's video, television, radio. Who controls it? Note that I use the term controls. If you control the media, and there are 6 major companies, white companies, that control the media. Everything that you watch on television, you listen to on the radio, you see on the internet, white media controls what we watch, what we hear, what we see. And when we are inundated with all of these images and all of these sound bites and all of these narratives about how black people are these terrible individuals, these violent people, these ruffians, and so forth, these predators, there is an agenda, and there has always been an agenda to vilify, to paint this ugly picture of us, because they, the powers that be, that is, white supremacist mentality and mindset, if you will, the ideology, they don't want the world to know who we really are. We can't help that we are who we are and that we came from where we came. What have we ever done to anyone to deserve the abuse that we have endured and been made to endure since we've been on this planet? Some say it may be a curse from God from many, many thousands of years ago. And we have been placed in the hand of someone who is the slave master, who is the controller. But it was only for a season, or intended to be for a season. But let me tell you this. We are strong. And we're black. The countless millions of lives that have been lost that are black, we're still here. The deplorable conditions and circumstances that we have been made and forced to endure, being jailed, being locked up, being taken away from our families, we're still here. To having the doors shut in our faces as we apply for jobs and being equal to or even more qualified than our white counterparts, we're still here. The times when we have been disenfranchised and having limited resources to feed our families, but we made a way and we stretched food and we thought of creative ways, even if it meant eating noodles, ramen noodles, and hot dogs as a daily staple. We are still here. We've learned to adapt. It was and has been in our nature to adapt. Where many other cultures may have even perished, we are strong. And we are black. We've died in every major war that the Americas has ever had. We fought in every major war alongside our white counterparts for someone else's agenda. And we stood proudly as patriots, our ancestors. We have had ancestors, and even in the present day, who have obtained positions in the military, lieutenants, captains, majors, generals. We're still here. We've had people rise above the ranks in politics as blacks, even though sometimes they forgot where they came from, because the system was never for us. We've been used to benefit the system. But we're strong and we're black. Some call those individuals that have compromised where they came from in exchange for position in some political party, some form of government, local, state, federal, and they call them house Negroes. I believe this is true. it states and it says a lot about those individuals' characters. We think sometimes once we make it, once we have graduated, once we have put some time in, or once we have done certain tasks and or duties, and we receive some reward as blacks in our society, as a doctor, a lawyer, judge, some politician, some senator, congressman, even the president, Obama. We think that once we've made it, that the rest of those individuals that were just like us don't exist anymore. Did you ever forget where you came from? Do you remember that we all had the same struggle ancestrally? We all come from the same place. You see, when you reach stardom and or celebrity as a black individual in America and the world, your economical status, your financial position in life, your station in terms of wealth may have changed exponentially. But if you pay attention to people around you that have reached the pinnacle of their career, if you will, they found out that they were still black, regardless of what station in life they found themselves. Look at Bill Cosby. On top of the world, America's dad. Plenty of money. He was targeted. The fact that he had money didn't matter. He was black. And in recent years, look at entertainer and singer, mogul, Robert Kelly, R. Kelly, on top of the world in his industry. But his money didn't matter. He was black. And God rest his soul, the most celebrated entertainer of our entire lives and our time, Michael Joseph Jackson. Michael Jackson, the greatest entertainer that has ever graced us on this planet during our lifetime. He was black. And he fell from glory, or at least they attempted to dismantle him in his career. There have been many that have risen to stardom, to prominence in our society and in our world. And they were quickly reminded that you're not running this. You're not that big. Because there's a greater power than you that sits high and it looks low. And in this particular instance and reference, I'm not talking about God the Creator. I'm talking about the powers that be that control this planet. I'm talking about the white supremacist mentality, mindset, ideology that has been used since day one, whenever that was, to continue to oppress black people. Continues to disenfranchise black people. Continues to extort money from black people. continues to imprison unlawfully black people for free labor. That's enslavement. Continues to profile young middle-aged black people driving down the street, walking down the street, planting false evidence on their person, creating crimes along with the solution, injecting drugs in poor neighborhoods, and setting the police on them because there's poverty there, not giving them an opportunity to come out of that poverty, instead keeping the system going. We're strong and we're black. Over the past at least decade or so, there have been many blacks that's notable that have lost their lives by the hand of American police. I was a little nice when I just said American police. You know what the real word is. Racist white police officers who have always had permission to gun down, choke, and beat black people. Now, someone is probably fuming right now that doesn't believe what I just said, or you know that what I'm saying is true, you just don't want to hear it. That's your problem. But it doesn't change the fact that we have been abused by you. Your time is coming. And I'm not talking about abuse. So keep it in proper context. You see, there is a creator. I believe that he sits high and that he looks low, and that he controls everything that goes on in this place that we call Earth. And that when the time is up, it's up for the oppression of black folks on this planet. We have never had reparations for the atrocities that have been carried out against our ancestors and even us present day. There has never been a discussion, not meaningful, ever in my lifetime, and I'll be 60 years old soon. Where is the meeting about what has occurred historically to us and what continues to occur to us? I see men running for president. I've never seen any meaningful conversation or rhetoric about the racial issues in America. Never really any substantial talking points. Presidential candidates talk about everything else in depth. But that's one subject that seems to escape them. Someone said in 2009 there was an apology issued for slavery. How sincere was that apology? Because I don't feel it. And if I ask the majority of people that I know that are black, did you feel that apology? Was it substantial enough to you to warrant you feel better about your position or your station in life right now? They would say no. Where is the action behind the apology? Where is the fair treatment in the judicial system? What about employment? What about freedom from poverty that's created by the system because it benefits from poverty? We've got alcohol establishments or whiskey, state whiskey stores in black neighborhoods. We don't have major grocery stores in poor black neighborhoods. Why is that? Is that by design? Or is it just simple? Maybe just a coincidence it's like that. It's funny it's all across America like that. That's a hell of a coincidence. Breonna Taylor. Shot, killed by the police in her own home. But before I go any further with that, let me say this. All of you that are of the hate mentality as it relates to blacks, some of you might want to, I guess, be comfortable with the term African American. I don't subscribe to that because I don't know what my tribe is. Suffice it to say, let's just say blacks in America. So all of you that feel a certain way about black folks being criminals and casting us in this light that, you know, we are a threat, we're hooligans, and we're violent. Have you ever considered your ancestors who are even present day over in Africa destroying culture, raping and robbing the land, stealing the gold, the diamonds, and all of the other precious metals and resources from Africa? Why are you in Africa, white supremacist? Why is China in Africa? It's not your country. Excuse me, let me back up. For all of you all that want to make this statement, if you watch my previous videos, you already know I know that Africa is not a country, it's a continent. Specifically, whatever country you might be in Africa, why are you there? What are you doing there? Shaking hands with the natives of those particular countries over there. It's about 54, 56 countries in Africa. Singing Kumbaya and we're going to make it and we're in this together and we're buddies. No, you're stealing from Africa as you always have. Just as you have stolen from every other culture on this planet. Mr. White Supremacist. So before you start pointing fingers at blacks and saying that we, our people, are violent and we're criminals, guess what? You were first. You stole the country, Mr. White Supremacist. You said that you discovered America when there were people here already, Mr. White Supremacist. You said 1865 slavery was over, Mr. White Supremacist, but you sent out slave patrols, which we call today in modern day police departments, who continue to oppress, who continue to beat, who continue to kill, to arrest black folks, as they always have, notwithstanding those men and women of the police departments across America who had good intentions when they joined, because they believed the rhetoric, they believed the image that was being portrayed as the police department. But once they got there, they realized it wasn't what they thought it was. But because they received a benefits package, a fairly decent wage annually, potentials to be promoted, a home maybe, and maybe some tenure after being there for a while before they really saw things the way they were, maybe not even having any other skill sets. They just chose to ride it out, knowing full well after a while what they had gotten themselves into. These are the good police officers. But those other police officers who have permeated all of these organizations, these police departments across the planet, they knew why they were signing up. Let me get me some black folks. Let me take out some frustrations and some anger on these people because we are better than them. So every time I see one, I'm going to harass him or her, even their children. I'm going to intimidate them, detain them, profile them, choke them, arrest them, trumped up charges, planting evidence. If these things are not true, what I'm saying to you, you're entitled to what you believe. But let me ask you this question. Are there police officers in prison? Yes. For what? Do that research. They are in there for many crimes. Those that have been caught. But there have been many who have murdered many black people that have walked. Because you protect your own. Even when your own is wrong. Sandra Bland, Texas. She should be alive today. She committed no crime. Traffic stop ended her up in a jail, alleged to have hung herself with a garbage bag. And she went to Texas to pursue a job opportunity. Tamir Rice, 12-year-old in Cleveland, Ohio. In a state, I might add, that has an open carry policy. Yet someone calls the 911 dispatcher and even makes the statement in the audio that it appeared to be a child and it might not even be a real gun. I heard it for myself. 2 police officers show up, pull up within 10 seconds. They shot and killed him. Or he shot and killed a 12-year-old who was just minding his own business in the park playing. He deserved that, right? Eric Garner. It was alleged that he had been selling loose cigarettes in the street in New York. Big guy. Even intimidating. He's not the only 6 foot, 300 some pound black man you've ever seen. There are white individuals that are the same stature. But on this particular day, police arrived not on a scene but just in the area that he was at. And he began to express himself. He didn't attack anyone. He did not threaten anyone. In the video, the audio, which was made public, he said, all I want you to do is leave me alone. He said, you keep harassing me. I'm not bothering anybody. But his pleas His concerns were not answered in a civil manner. He was not talked to like a human being. Instead, someone took it upon themselves, as a police officer, to come behind him and put him in a chokehold. Unlawful. And then the rest of the police officers present began to pile on him. He stated that he couldn't breathe. And guess how he died at that scene? Asphyxiation or suffocation. Not being able to breathe. All because he was expressing himself. Whatever happened to training and diplomacy? Whatever happened to de-escalating a situation? He didn't even escalate the situation in the first place. It was escalated by the police that were present, ending in his demise. What about Walter Scott? Carolina, South Carolina. Pulled over, traffic stop. Whatever the reason was for the traffic stop, the man was not armed. The man did not present a threat. The officer that pulled him over said, "I'll be right back." He went to his car. Walter got out of his vehicle and began to run. Police officer stopped, poised himself, fired 8 times, at least 4 of the rounds hitting Walter Scott and killing him in the back. Someone said in one video he should have not run. When did running from a police officer with your back turned, not presenting a threat, become a warrant for your death? In other words, how does it warrant you being killed? Gentlemen, Wendy's. Remember that several months ago? Shot in the back again, running away from the police in the Wendy's parking lot. That sound familiar? He had a taser. Someone said, oh, he had a police officer's taser. This was Georgia. Oh, a taser. It is interesting that the police chief resigned within 24 hours of that incident taking place. Can we say guilt? But someone wants to say, oh, he had a taser, but he's fleeing. He turns and aims the taser. Oh, he presented a threat. Is that public opinion? Or is that law? Or is that fact? I think a gun, a service revolver, or a service weapon, 9mm, whatever, far outweighs the power of a taser. Now, if he's pointing a taser at you and he's running, even in their own protocol, it is listed that a taser does not warrant you to be shot. If the assailant, supposedly, or the so-called suspect, is going to use it against you, it does not warrant you to shoot them dead. And the man is fleeing. But did you notice the video, if you watched it, that this man tried to talk to the police? He was asleep in the car at Wendy's. They allowed him to pull the car up out of the way. Then they wanted to charge him with DUI, drinking under the influence. He wasn't driving. Driving under the influence. He wasn't driving. You told him to do that. And then on top of that, he said, I just live right down there. It's my daughter's birthday. We're celebrating the birthday. And my girlfriend couldn't decide what she wanted to eat. And I got frustrated and I fell asleep in the car. And he ends up dead by the hands of the police officers. One of them. Sam Dubose, Cincinnati, Ohio. a university police officer who's out of his jurisdiction pulled him over for a traffic stop. He alleged at some point that Mr. Dubose tried to pull off with him inside the window of the car. First of all, why would you, a police officer, have any part of your body inside someone's vehicle? Think about that. That didn't happen. But he murdered Sam Dubose. And here, this year, Breonna Taylor in her home. There's many, many others. And we know right before that, who was it? George Floyd. I can't breathe. Mama? While Derek Chauvin, police officer at the time, was kneeling on his neck for several minutes until he died. We are strong and we are black. I may have bored your patience, some of you, others maybe not. But I'm trying to get you to think. Regardless of what happens with this particular election, I want to encourage all of you that are black that we historically have endured some of the greatest atrocities of racism on this planet. And it continues today, even. I want you to know that we're going to make it. We are going to continue to make it. And this is not speculation. It's not guesswork. I believe that every major empire that is built on a shaky foundation is going to fall one day. And it's time for us to begin to see the benefits of our labor. It simply is. We have done too much for everyone else in this country, America, and in the world. And we have been given nothing in return. I'm not talking about a few millionaires and a few billionaires. As a group of people, everyone else has benefited from us. We continue to be last in line, but no more. Today is our day to shine. I want to encourage you to shine today. I'm not encouraging you to go out and start calling white people names. I'm not encouraging you to go out and commit crimes. You would be stupid and foolish to do something like that. And it would only further support the so-called narrative that some of them have as it relates to us in the first place, as being violent criminals and so forth. Haters and racists. Can't be a racist if you don't control the resources. We don't control any of that, but we know who does. Those are the real racists. But what we can do is stop supporting so many people, so many corporations that don't support us, and start supporting our own businesses. You can still support other ethnic groups and their businesses, but support yours, ours, more. Exponentially. Substantially more. You should be spending the vast majority of your money in your own communities, in your own people's businesses. Because those are the very people, we are the very people that will hire you and your children for our own economical development and growth. You must remember this. I think it's about time for me to close. I got that off my chest. I just want to say, I began this video telling all of you all that are watching, whites, blacks, Asians, Latinos, whoever, that I love you, and I do. But sometimes we have to hear those hard lessons. We have to receive those messages that remind us of who we really are and where we actually came from. We never came from a good place. Once upon a time, there were kingdoms, there were civilizations that had very prominent black individuals. But fast forward to today, we are the most oppressed of those so-called civilizations. The black people today. But we don't have to be anymore. Unfortunately, God bless him and rest his soul. George Floyd, we thank you, brother, because you actually did become a martyr, unbeknownst to you, for the reconstruction of black folks' future. You did that. Breonna Taylor, you were another one. So, we are strong. Don't ever let anyone tell you that you're not. You better start creating your own business right now. You better start singing. You better start writing. You better start creating and building right now. Not tomorrow, right now. If you ever want to really have a meaningful future for yourself and your family's future. Because we are strong. And we are black. Brother Teacher here. So long.